a history of inflation within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And in particular, I want to start, Madam Speaker, with the year 2011. And this is from macro trends. In 2011, it was noted that the inflation rate in St. Kitts and Nevis was 5.84%. So it means that prices generally increased by over 5%. In 2012, 0.82%. In 2013, 1.11%. 2014, 0.25%. 2015, a negative 2.30%. So it means that in terms of the spending power, you had negative inflation. There was no inflation within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. It was negative, Madam Speaker. In 2016, it was also negative, and it was 0.69. In 2017, there was an increase on the positive side of the same amount of 0.69%. In 2018, again, you had negative inflation, 1.04%. 2019, 0.33%. 2020, 1.17%. Negative 1.17%. 2021, 1.20%. 2022, 2.6%. And 2023, 3.56%. So, Madam Speaker, you would clearly see that relative to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, we have had times when you have had negative inflation. And at the same time, while you have had these negative inflation rates, Madam Speaker, the average within the world, Madam Speaker, would show that there was inflation throughout the rest of the world, even though it was negative. For example, I said to you, Madam Speaker, that in 2015 you had negative inflation of 2.3%, I think it is. And the stats would show that within the world the average inflation was a positive 1.44%. So prices increased in the world in 2015. In 2016, 1.61. 2017, 2.25. 2018, 2.45. 2019, 2.21. 2020, 1.92. 2021, 3.47. 2022, 7.97. And in 2023, 5.69%. So, Madam Speaker, let's go to 2015 when world inflation was at 1.44. But in St. Kitts and Nevis, you had negative inflation of 2.3. Because I now come to the crux of the argument when I said to you that I do not accept what has been posited by others, is that while inflation is largely pushed by the outer world, there is nothing we can do within our own means to ensure that we either push on the effects of inflation or we have a decrease in inflation. So what happened in 2015, Madam Speaker, as to why you would have had negative inflation? In 2015, VAT was removed from food, medical supplies, funeral expenses, and also education supplies. So while it is that the rest of the world was experiencing an increase in inflation, right here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, because of a policy decision taken by the government then, you had negative inflation. And I want to refer, Madam Speaker, to an article which was done back then by SKN, St. Kitts Nevis Information Services. And it's dated September 28, 2016. And I want to go to a specific paragraph, and that paragraph reads, speaking this morning at the opening session of the annual National Consultation on the Economy, The Financial Secretary in the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, Mrs. Hilary Hazer, said that taking a look at inflation, we had experienced a good period from 2012 to 2014 where the inflation rate remained below 2%, which is generally by rule of thumb a good figure. But we have done extraordinarily well in 2015 when the rate of inflation declined significantly to negative 2.8%. The Financial Secretary added that the food index, which peaked in 2014, declined as a result of the policy action implemented by the government in terms of removing the VAT and import duty from food and other essential items. The ease in inflationary pressures continued again in 2016, and so we will realize a negative inflation rate of 0.9%. Madam Deputy Speaker, the history is there. So that when the government side in particular comes into the National Assembly and blames everything that is happening internationally in terms of the increase in prices, in terms of inflation, and gives the impression to the public that it is driven by the outside world and there's basically nothing that we can do to decrease it or to push on the effects. The history is here to show that through policies of the government, the price of food, the cost of living can decrease here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. As you walk through the length and breadth of St. Kitts and Nevis, the common cry that you're hearing from persons is that things are hard in the country. People are complaining they don't have any money. They can't afford to buy food. They can't afford to buy basic necessities. I was doing a walkthrough recently in my constituency, and a parent said to me that she has only bought one skirt and one blouse to send her daughter to school because she cannot afford to buy any more. That is the reality of people living in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.